This Equipment World video is brought to you by Chevron Delo 600 ADF Ultra Low Ash Diesel Engine Oil. It's time to kick some ash.
Today we're here to talk about a name that might not come to mind first when you're thinking of compact equipment. It's Kioti. And if you haven't heard of them, you're not alone. But don't write them off because they're getting into the compact equipment market. And one of the things I like about their stuff is they have true pilot controls. Here to talk more about this is Justin from Kioti. Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be on and talk about Kioti's new offerings.
So you guys aren't one of the bigger names in the industry. In fact, I would venture to say most of my audience probably hasn't heard the Kioti name. Could you give us just kind of a quick overview of who you guys are?
Yeah, absolutely. Kioti is the North America brand name of our parent company, Daedong. So we've been around and building our brand for 30 plus years now here in the US. And you're right, we're not as large as some of those bigger manufacturers, but we're expanding really quickly and are really building out our dealer network. So traditionally, we've been pretty heavy in the East Coast here, but we're starting to expand out to the West Coast, Midwest, opening up new dealerships every year. And it's been really exciting, especially with this new construction line of equipment we're coming out with as well. We started out with tractors, has been our specialty for a long time. The compact tractor sector, especially going from that kind of residential garden tractor all the way up to now we have some larger scale utility tractors getting all the way up to that 115 horsepower, going to larger agriculture, like some of those custom hay guys that you have. So yeah, we've really been building our brand, building our name within the industry, especially in the tractor. Now we got UTVs, zero turns, and like I said, the construction line as well with the skid steers and the compact track loaders.
Gotcha. So I do think it's important to let the audience know, while you guys are kind of new getting into the construction sector, you guys aren't strangers to the dirt. I mean, one of your core business products is the compact tractor line, and kind of like you said, even getting into that 115 horse model, you've got some bigger dirt machines out there in the market currently.
Correct. And that was kind of one of our big pushes for moving into the construction line is, some landscapers use compact tractors within their normal operations, sometimes interchangeable with like kind of how they use a skid steer. Maybe they put some sort of a plane or a grader off the back of the tractor to do fine grade on some finishing some jobs. But we found that when we started looking in this construction sector as an opportunity for us, we found that our dealers and our customers were already really demanding it. They're like, you guys have been building this great tractor for years. We have our own engines. We put in all our own units. So anything diesel that's Kioti, it's our own engines we put into it. So we've had these proven engines out there for years, which has been fantastic. But yeah, that was a big push for us to move into this track loader and skid steer market. Was we already had that demand from our customers and our dealers, them knowing our product already within tractors.
Interesting. So what would you say on kind of the compact equipment side? What sets Kioti apart from some of your competitors?
But before we get into that, I want to take a second to tell you about the sponsor of this video, Chevron Lubricants. Protecting your diesel engine and its exhaust aftertreatment system has traditionally been seen as an either-or proposition when it comes to choosing the engine oil that's going to protect your system. And that's exactly why Chevron spent more than a decade of R&D work developing a no-compromise formulation. Now, I don't have to tell you why a clogged DPF is bad news, but here's the real kick in the pants. 90% of that ash clogging up your DPF and then upping your fuel and maintenance costs, it comes from your engine oil. You might be thinking, why don't they make an engine oil with less ash in it then? You'll be happy to learn that Chevron agrees with you. They've developed a new ultra-low ash diesel engine oil that is specifically designed to combat DPF ash clogging. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology cuts sulfate ash by 60%, radically reducing the rate of DPF clogging and extending the DPF service life by 2.5 times. Before you had to choose between protecting your engine or your aftertreatment system. Now you don't. Delo 600 ADF with OmniMax technology. It's time to kick some ash.
So what would you say on kind of the compact equipment side? What sets Kioti apart from some of your competitors?
That's a great question. For me, one thing that stands out, I've run a lot of different equipment from 1-ton excavators all the way up to 40 and dozers, everything, stuff like that. And big thing for me is operator controls, being able to have very attentive controls. And we have hydraulic pilot controls for all our units. So what that gives you is it gives you very attentive and very accurate controls, very speedy as well. So especially experienced operators will really like the controls we currently have on our units.
So that is, in my mind, one of the biggest selling points of your machines. You know, we're in this age of technology here in construction. Everyone is very excited to tout their controls, and I will give it to them. It does give you a tremendous amount of flexibility in, you know, being able to customize the cab and the button layout and everything. But one of the biggest drawbacks that no one really wants to talk about on the manufacturer side is for us in the cab, that's all of our feel comes from our hands. And that totally leaves with controls, and we have to relearn how to kind of get the feel for the machine. And for you guys to still have pilot controls, I know as an old school operator and a lot of others like me in the business, that is a huge advantage over the controls.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that, like you said, that haptic feedback to the operator is huge especially when doing finish grade or pushing out large dirt piles, being able to have that nice control and being able to really get a feel for your machine. To work effectively. I'd say like another thing that works really well for us, for operators, we tried to make an operator-centric design. So we have all the auxiliary controls on your pilot joysticks as well. So multifunction attachments such as like snow blowers, 6-way blades.
You're not doing one of these numbers where you're trying to work the console.
Correct.
And, yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Awesome.
So yeah, we really wanted to make it a multifunction, multi-use machine. Going back to that operator control, that's a big thing for me personally, and that's one thing I think we've done very, very well on this machine.
So if I remember right, you guys also have the roll-up door on your cab, is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's another big one, especially within like landscaping jobs where you see like maybe a smaller format where you're working with the crew and you have that constant communication. That roll-up style door really helps operators communicate with their outside crew. And if they're hopping in and out of the unit a lot, it makes it a little easier for them, especially depending on what kind of attachment you have on the unit. Having that simple roll-up door makes it really easy for them to get in and out.
That is one of the most irritating things in a lot of the competitor machines is when you've got a mulcher or something on the front and you set it down on the ground, you think you got the implement all the way down on the ground, and it's all real quick. You throw the lap bar up and you go to hit the door, bunk.
Yep.
Now I got to put the lap bar down, put the button again. Like,
complete agreeance with you. So yeah, that's another thing. And with the cab too, I'm kind of a big guy. I'm 6'3". I usually don't fit in compact equipment very well. When I got in these skid steers for the first time, I was pleasantly surprised. We have ample room, and the big thing I always tout is our width on the cab.
Interesting.
So we have a very wide cab. So like I said, I'm a larger guy. We got the height. So I'm not hitting my head on the ceiling or anything like that. But we also got the width. So I have broad shoulders. I'm able to kind of like splay out, get my arms in a good position to feel comfortable for the day. And then even on the floorboards where you're looking down where you set your feet. Sometimes with some of these units, you have kind of a narrow space where if you have larger boots on, it's kind of hard to set your feet there. We have a very wide, broad space, so you can kind of adjust your legs to whatever's comfortable for you. So for me, that was a huge thing that I always like to point out at the shows, and that's usually noticed pretty quickly by a lot of the operators.
A lot of the cabs, I will agree with you, they don't really feel like they've been engineered so much for operator comfort as much as they've been engineered to, nowadays especially, show off all the bells and whistles. There's a lot of bells and whistles in these compact equipment that you go, that's great, but like we talked about, I'm banging the door on the implement every time I try to get out. You've got tiny foot space. It's cramped in the cab. Visibility is never a huge priority. It's things like that really suffer. So it's good to hear you guys are designing more for the comfort side and the usability side of the operator rather than all of the fancy tech.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing too. It's right now, our current product, we're driving value in the correct areas for the customer, in my opinion. So yeah, we might not have every single fancy bell and whistle right now on our current units, but that's not to say we won't have those in the future. We're already looking at our product, looking what we can bring to the customers in the future. But what we have right now is a phenomenal product that is a great performer at a great cost point. So we're driving really good value while still getting a really good cost point for our customers.
Excellent. Well, my final question for you is, if I were to get into one of these units, what am I looking at from a warranty standpoint?
3-year, 3,000 hours. So generally you see around that 2-year, 2,000 hours as a standard warranty on the equipment. We brought in the 3-year, 3,000 hours, right away. And part of that is we have our own engine within this unit. So the powertrain components is a really big one. And we are confident in our engineering ability and our engines that we're ready to stick that 3-year, 3,000 hours right away. So looking in the future, we'll definitely look to have, more opportunities for extended warranty if customers want it. But we're right here to stand behind our product. And we're excited to get it out there.
Awesome stuff. Well, Justin, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for having me on. It was really awesome talking with you.
Well, thank you again for Kioti and Justin taking his time to come on the show to talk to us about why they decided to get into the compact equipment market and what you could expect from them going forward. As always, I hope this helps you in your business. We'll catch you on the next episode of The Dirt.